Hey everybody, it's Brad and Tricia from the Virtual Foundry. Getting ready for our podcast number 3. This is volume 1, episode 3 of the Virtual Foundry podcast. Today is Monday, December 21st, 2020. It is 38 degrees outside here in southern Wisconsin, which is 3 degrees Celsius, 38 degrees Fahrenheit. This is another case where I like the sound of the Fahrenheit number much better than the Celsius number. So it's the end of the year, it's Christmas week. It's always the time for reflection as you close out one year and prepare for the next year. So today, we're just going to do a year in review of the Virtual Foundry. So Brad, would you like to get started? I know in the first year, we were seeing some really terrific momentum.
First of the year, you mean? Yeah,
First quarter, yeah.
Right. We started off 2020 strong. Significant expansion monthly, and COVID definitely had an impact on the Virtual Foundry.
And we saw some of that in the second quarter when we had a new group of customers writing into us. So then we started to hear more from folks who are like the prepper type or working to be very self-sufficient. So they were looking at our process as a way to make their own metal parts at home so that they don't need to rely on outside sources for those.
Yeah, we even had a series of print articles relating to, they called it 3D printing for preppers. So it was people that wanted to be able to fabricate metal parts completely on their own at home in their basement or whatever it took.
Then the third quarter comes and we made some internal changes here. We trimmed staff a little bit. We got leaner and meaner. We also learned more about ourselves, figured out that our ideal market is in the education sector, those metallurgy programs, the mechanical engineering programs, the industrial engineering programs that are going on out there. Lots of students all over the world working on projects with our filament.
Yes. Yeah, and go ahead. I was going to say, in Fab Labs, this isn't something that we've found much traction in so far, but we're starting to have discussion with the people that organize the Fab Labs at MIT. I think this is going to be a place where we start to gain some traction in high schools and things like that. And we're finding that as time passes, some of the students that have worked with our materials at some of the major universities are now moving on to interesting companies like Tesla, and moving on to working at national labs. So the people that are way into the physics, for us, the world keeps getting a little bit smaller. It's just kind of interesting.
It's very exciting to see these college graduates go on to these jobs that they've been aiming for many years, and taking the knowledge of the filament process with them into those careers. And speaking of K-12, the filament process is a great option there because the equipment is so accessible. It's very budget friendly. So kids, middle school and even younger, if they can 3D print on a regular FDM 3D printer, they can make stuff out of metal. And it's really cool to begin to see these STEM focused schools at a younger age start to look at adding metal to their lineup of offerings for their students. So speaking of equipment being accessible, we were very excited in the fourth quarter here to release these complete system packages so that people can install a virtual foundry in their institution, in their company, even in their home.
Right. One of the things that became clear to us over time is that it was a little bit difficult for people to source all of the different things that they needed to perform these tasks. So it just made sense for us to bundle it up and make it easier for them.
I know in the beginning of the invention and the beginning of the filament product, you were putting it out into the world and it was kind of a, here it is, let's all figure out how to use it together. So it's really terrific to be at a place with our partner, our sintering partner, Sapphire 3D, to be able to really offer people a complete package. You don't have to figure it out so much anymore. We're going to walk you through it. Here's all the equipment that you need. Here's everything that you need to make a full metal part on your own. So that's a great development. It really is beneficial for our customers and gets them all of the information and knowledge they need to be doing this process on their own.
Right. We went from a situation where people, took a fair amount of research and development to get to the point where they could produce metal parts. But we've gotten to a point now where we can install a system and those people can be creating parts within 1 or 2 iterations, maybe 2 or 3. They can be producing copper and bronze parts very easily.
Now, I know this year has been challenging for a lot of people, ourselves included, but there have also been some really great learning opportunities. One thing that I've really appreciated about this year is the opportunities that business over video brings. So we've all gotten used to starting relationships electronically and over Zoom and other video meeting platforms. So it has become so much easier for us to talk to people from all over the world. And that is one of my favorite parts of my job, is the global nature of it. And secondly, it's giving us opportunities that didn't exist before. Like you and I recently spoke to a class of mechanical engineering students at the University of Portland in Portland, Oregon in the US here. And that would not have been possible before. So it's exciting to have these new ways of business open up.
Right. Tricia and I were guest lecturers to a group of mechanical and material engineering students. It was interesting, and they hit us with a nice spectrum of very complicated questions.
Yes, they were great. That was a lot of fun. One of the things that I'm looking forward to in 2021 is more opportunities like that. Speaking engagements, speaking to groups, speaking to classes, and the video conferencing platform just makes that even more available. One other thing that I've really appreciated this year is this reading habit that I've developed. So I've been going through books like crazy. I know you have too. And if you are connected with me on LinkedIn, you'll see when I finish a book, I post a brief review about that and talked about that. So if we're connected, you'll see all of those. If we're not connected, reach out and let's get connected. So Brad, what are you looking forward to in 2021?
Stability. That's
yes.
Or maybe more accurately, consistency. We've dealt with so much change since March, and in many ways we've redesigned ourselves, or at least changed the way that we think about ourselves as a business. It's been a very, very complicated year on more levels than I think I can enumerate. But
I agree. We certainly have gotten to know ourselves and our customers much better.
Right. And to your point on the video conferencing thing, I think this is interesting. I mean, the technology has been adequate for doing this for probably 10 or 15 years, but it was just a habit that people couldn't break. It was just normal for us to drive up to Madison a couple times a week for meetings. And it limited us geographically because we would mostly just do meetings in the area. And now we do essentially those same meetings, but we're doing it with people all over the world. And this has been a dramatic change in the way that we do business in the last 8 to 10 months.
Yes, it has. Very different. I'm looking forward to refining and continuing to get those complete system packages out there so our customers can have everything that they need all in one swoop. So I'm excited about that item, that system, those virtual foundries, helping more people. And the onboarding of new development-minded partners / customers. So we're really finding this rich mix of people who want to be engaged with us. They want to be in relationship with us. They want to figure out how to use our materials to get the parts that they want. And that's really been a treat. It's been very enjoyable to talk with these folks, and I'm looking forward to making more partner / customer / friends like that.
Yeah, for the foreseeable future, there will be no more cost-effective or less costly way of making a metal part in the 3D printing universe.
Another thing I'm looking forward to is getting further integrated into educational institutions. We've been talking about it here a little bit already, universities all the way down to middle schools and elementary schools. We've been talking with some really cool people in those institutions who are going to soon be ready when things, I don't know if we're supposed to say return to normal. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but when people are back together again and schools are able to round out their offerings for their students, we're looking forward to being a part of that.
And we're developing relationships with people that specifically do business with educational institutions, and this is going to help us distribute the technology and the concept much more easily.
Another thing I'm looking forward to, we've talked about it again already, is public speaking. So it's something that I really enjoy. COVID has really limited those opportunities, but now that Zoom and other video conferencing platforms are so normal, that's a new possibility again. And I'm confident that as we get into 2021, we'll be able to gather again. So I'll be excited about looking for some public speaking opportunities. So if you need some speakers for a group or a class or anything that you're involved in, please reach out. We would be happy to tell you about this really cool technology that we're involved with. And Brad, before we wrap up, or did you have anything else that you're looking forward to in 2021?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a lot of things, but nothing comes to mind right now.
All right, great. So I just have one more very important question for you before we wrap up the Zoom. Right. What does a snowman eat for breakfast?
I don't know.
Frosted Flakes.
Nice.
Well, thank you for joining us on Volume 1, Episode 3 of the Virtual Foundry Podcast. We'll see you next time.